We all have heard of the famous TV show Vikings and its sequel Vikings Valhalla. Since then, the overall topic of Vikings has gained more and more popularity. But how much of what you see on TV is actually real, and what is fiction? As we all know, TV shows kind of like to be a bit overdramatic to keep the viewer's attention high, and therefore they never show a realistic day in the life of a Viking. Therefore, we want to show you what a realistic day in the life of a Viking looks like. From the moment the sun breaks the horizon to the twilight's embrace, we witness the triumphs and trials of these seafaring warriors. So grab your horn helmets and your mead drinks and let's take a journey back in time. But before we dive in the adventurous daily life of a Viking, make sure to subscribe to Past Perspectives to see more in-depth history topics that you have never learned in school. First of all, let me give you a bit of background information about Vikings, because when you think of Vikings today, we tend to think of images of brutal warriors wreaking havoc upon foreign lands. And before archaeologists and historians have taken a deep look at this entire topic, they were seen as brutal warriors that raided entire cities, captured slaves and killed the rest in an unspeakable, cruel way. The Vikings were even used as horror bedtime stories for children back then. Today we know that Vikings are a lot more than just the brutal and reckless warriors they are portrayed as in the media. The Vikings emerged from the Scandinavian region during the late 8th century. Hailing from modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, they were a group of fierce and adventurous individuals who left an indelible mark on history. Their golden age, spanning from roughly the late 8th century to the 11th century, was a time of great exploration and expansion. They were driven by a desire for wealth, land, and glory. They set sail in their iconic longships, venturing into unknown waters and reaching distant lands. They were known for their skilled seafarers and navigators, mastering the art of shipbuilding and employing advanced sailing techniques. With their sleek longships, they could travel across treacherous seas and navigate rivers with ease, allowing them to conduct raids, trade, and establish settlements in far-flung regions. And even though today they are often seen as fierce raiders, the Vikings were also skilled traders and settlers. For example, they established trade routes spanning from the British Isles to the Mediterranean, engaging in commerce with various cultures and leaving a lasting impact on trade networks. Now, if we take a deeper look at their hierarchy, we can see that their society was structured around a clan-based systems, with chieftains leading their clans. Warriors played a prominent role in Viking society, as they defended their communities, participated in raids, and sought honor and glory on the battlefield. This conquest for honor and victory in battle originated from their religion, which even today sparks interest in countless people. They worshipped a whole variety of gods and goddesses, such as Odin, Thor, and Freya. Their religious beliefs controlled every aspect of their lives, from rituals and sacrifices to their view of the afterlife in Valhalla, a warrior's paradise. Now that you have that background information, we take a look at how their day-to-day life looked like. As we all know, TV shows kinda like to be a bit overdramatic to keep the viewer's attention high, and therefore they never show a realistic day in the life of a Viking. Therefore, we are taking a journey back in time today with some real historic proof to explore the life of a Viking and what it really looked like. I'm going to show you all the adventures, challenges, and routines of these legendary sailors. A lot of people imagine that Vikings would wake up to the sound of crashing waves, the smell of the sea breeze, and the promise of a new day filled with adventure. And while this happened, this wasn't their daily life. First of all, the term Viking was only given to those who would raid and participate in battles. Just to give you an example, if you were living with Vikings back then, but you were a farmer, you wouldn't be considered as a Viking, but as a farmer. But this doesn't mean that the Vikings or the warriors of the tribe in that case didn't do any normal work. Especially if you are a new warrior, you will still have to do all of your normal work like taking care of your animals, providing for your family, and so on. Our journey begins at dawn, where the Viking warriors rise with the first rays of sunlight. Vikings rise early, embracing the importance of a productive day. In this we tell you the fictional story of Bjorn, a new Viking warrior that has only fought in one battle in his Viking career. His father has already been a fierce and relentless Viking, and Bjorn wants to follow his footsteps. One of the first tasks he would do is take care of the livestock. Since Bjorn is a relatively new Viking and only participated in one raid, his tribe didn't give him any slaves yet, so he has to take care of that by himself. So he makes sure to feed the animals, milk the cows, and tends to their needs. It's hard work, but it's essential to his and his family's survival. Vikings were known for capturing people and turning them into slaves that do the daily chores for them. However, against the contrary belief in most cases, they were treated extremely well and seen as a part of their family. After Bjorn was done with that, he'd continue his day with the rituals that define his warrior spirit. He prepares himself for the journey ahead, donning his battle-worn armor, sharpening his trusty axe, and adorning his iconic horned helmet. The last thing he'd do before leaving home is have some early breakfast with his family. The Vikings were known for their robust appetite and reliance on nourishing foods. Looking at their often cold environment, their meals were designed to fuel them for the entire day. Therefore, their breakfast often started with a huge meal, providing them with the energy needed for the day's tasks and battles ahead. Breakfast options often include hearty fare such as smoked fish, pickled herring, freshly baked bread, and bowls of creamy porridge made from oats or barley. To wash it all down, they enjoy a warm cup of mead or ale, boosting their spirits and fortitude. After that is done, Bjorn would leave the house with his Viking armor equipped and go to the heart of the village, joining his fellow warriors, immersing himself in the art of combat and the honing of his skills. Under the watchful eyes of experienced mentors, Bjorn trains tirelessly, pushing his physical and mental limits to master the ways of the Viking warrior. They'd only do this on days when they didn't set sail into new adventures, because otherwise, it would drain their energy too much, since their training lasted until the early afternoons. However, a lot of the times Vikings would head over to their ships, making sure they're always ready for battle. Every other day they also take their time to hone their sailing and navigating skills, which is responsible for making them such feared sailors. But before they start their training sailing sessions, they'd be eating lunch together. Lunch is a time for communal gathering, where the warriors come together to share stories and sustenance. Lunch for Vikings typically consists of roasted meats, such as wild boar or venison, accompanied by root vegetables like carrots and turnips. They relish the flavors of hearty stews, complemented by the richness of butter and a side of hard cheese. After they're done, they'd set sails and work on their teamwork as well as sailing skills. Historians have found out that every Viking had a special role on the ship, and they were working together as one strong unit to conquer the seas. Once the sun starts to go down, it was time for the warriors to return to their village. On most normal days, they'd meet at the town hall and enjoy a nice evening, where they are having their biggest meal of the day, telling each other tales and stories of their adventures. However, on days they returned from battle, everybody was prepared for a huge party, or what would Vikings call it, the feast. The feast was a cherished tradition among the Vikings, where they celebrated victories, forged alliances, and indulged in the spoils of their conquests. The dinner table was a sight to behold, laden with succulent roasted meats such as boar, beef, and lamb, accompanied by an array of side dishes like roasted root vegetables, wild mushrooms, and sautéed greens. And let us not forget the mead, a sweet honey-based alcoholic beverage that flowed freely during these gatherings, enhancing the merriment and camaraderie among the warriors. And there you have it, a realistic day in the life of a Viking. From farming to trading, from combat training to family gatherings, the Vikings embraced a diverse and fulfilling lifestyle. So, next time you picture a Viking, remember the true richness of their daily existence. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until we meet again, may the winds of adventure guide your path. Skål!